And it's all just so that primarily US media will continue to accept him as a prince, Prince Harry, the king's son, which the king then goes and endorses through this, Tea Party, because he has a commercial venture that he's launching soon.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, Kinsey, as you're wont to do, you've just pointed out something that hadn't occurred to me brilliantly, characteristically, and that is this. There's something about what he's been doing for the last 4 days that is reminiscent of those weird pretend royal tours that him and Meghan did to Nigeria and Colombia, where they sort of acted like, it's a big official royal tour, but it wasn't. So you're right, he's come here and he's done a kind of royal tour, hasn't he? I mean, I think that's partly because it's all he's ever done is charity visits. That's it, apart from a little...
Well, when only people... I just had this conversation with somebody else. Like, if the only people that want to hang out with you or will see you are employed by you or work underneath you, that's not a great sign. When he shows up, it's in his home country, and even his family doesn't want to spend time with him. I think that that's a sure sign that things have gone south in the last few years. And I feel very cynical in criticizing him for charity work. Obviously I think I encourage him to do charity work. It seems to be what he's good at. However, it feels like he is on the wrong turf. Expand in the United States, see what you can do here. But why are you competing with your brother who's going to be king one day?
Yeah, I'll tell you what, the king, after 3 or 4 days of this trip, climbed onto a private jet in Scotland and flew down to London to have tea with Harry, with his troublesome son Harry. This is the first time they met for 19 months. The last time Harry saw his dad face to face was February last year, after the king's cancer diagnosis. Since then they have not spoken face to face. Anyway, we know that prior to this, the king wasn't speaking to him at all. So there's been a sort of slight thawing of the way.
We know that because Prince Harry told us that on BBC.
Of course, yes. Now, I just want to quickly point out, this great environmentalist, King Charles, of course, climbing on a private jet, very eco-unfriendly, flying down to London. I get so sick of their hypocrisy about their net zero nonsense. That's just a side issue. So he flew down to see his son. Harry went to Clarence House, 54 minutes. 54 minutes. Tea for two, 54 minutes. Less than an hour. They haven't seen each other for 19 months. I'm wondering whether this reunion, if you like, this father and son reunion, was actually all that warm. Harry, of course, sloped off after that to another charity event where he told everybody, he was asked, oh, how's your dad? He said, oh, he's doing great. He's doing great. But I'd love to have been a fly on the wall during that meeting. We were filming my show that you've been on this afternoon, What Just Happened, and we were laughing, saying, do you reckon they had a massive great row or something? But 54 minutes after 19 months, it's not really an indication that the king's going, oh, all is forgotten and forgiven. It's not really an indication of that. I think quite the reverse. But I think the interesting thing about Harry actually meeting his dad is it underlines just how bitter the feud still is with...
All right, gather round. I've just had the distinct pleasure of listening to the hot takes from the dynamic duo of doom and gloom, Kevin O'Sullivan and Kinsey Schofield, on the recent Harry and England spectacle. And if I may be so bold, if that analysis was a drink, it would be a lukewarm cup of bitter tea with a serious splash of haterade. The assertion on the table that Prince Harry, the prodigal son who dared to choose love and sanity over duty and silent suffering, is somehow the harbinger of the apocalypse for the 1,000-year-old British monarchy. That a 45-minute meeting with his cancer-stricken father is a failure to be picked apart. That he and Meghan are a wrecking ball swung directly at Buckingham Palace. To that I say, please, let's grab our reality goggles, because we're about to refute, reframe and rain down some much-needed perspective. First, the extremely short meeting. Let's slam the brakes on that narrative right now. King Charles III is a man in his mid-70s, currently undergoing treatment for cancer. He is not running marathons, he is conserving his energy to fight for his life. A 45-minute visit isn't a snub. It's a profound and likely emotionally exhausting moment. It's a private meeting between a father and a son with a canyon of complicated history between them. It's not a state dinner. It's not a summit. It was a son crossing an ocean to see his dad, period. To frame that as anything less than a human gesture, to try and quantify familial love in minutes and seconds, is not just cynical, it's grotesquely inhuman. Kevin, Kinsey, have you never had a difficult, precious conversation with a family member? They don't come with a timer. Critics claim the Duke and Duchess of Sussex are dismantling the monarchy, but this lacks historical context. The monarchy is resilient, having weathered civil wars, abdications and scandals. It's not a fragile vase, but an ancient oak with deep roots. Harry and Meghan's departure isn't destruction, but reflection, raising overdue questions about media, race and relevance. A strong institution doesn't fear scrutiny, it engages with it. The monarchy's discomfort signals necessary change, not collapse. Its survival depends on connecting with people, not silencing dissent. Harry and Meghan highlight the gap between the institution and modern life. They're not wrecking balls, but mirrors, reflecting questions the monarchy must answer. But this, a couple choosing to step back, to make their own money, to speak their truth, this is the straw that breaks the camel's back. That's not an analysis, that's a fantasy. It's a convenient scapegoating that ignores the real internal structural challenges the institution faces in a modern world. Let's give Harry his flowers. Because while the commentariat was sharpening their knives, here's what he actually did. He showed up. Despite the toxic vulturine media ecosystem that hounded his wife to the point of suicidal ideation and continues to distort his every move, he got on a plane. He came to a country that is a minefield of trauma for him, to honour an institution that functionally ejected him, for a cause that mattered, Invictus. That takes a courage that armchair critics sipping studio tea will never understand. He championed a global cause. The entire reason for his visit was the Invictus Games Foundation. This is his legacy. Not the whinging they accuse him of, but the building of a genuine global community that has saved lives and changed the conversation around veterans and mental health. He turned his own pain into a purpose for thousands. Where's the headline for that? He modelled modern masculinity. Harry didn't stiff upper lip his way through life. He talked about therapy, he spoke about grief, he prioritised his mental health and the emotional safety of his family. In a world crying out for men to be vulnerable and emotionally intelligent, he became a global exemplar. He broke the cycle. That's not weakness, it's revolutionary strength. The assertion that Harry and Meghan are killing the monarchy is a distraction from the truth. They are its most stark and uncomfortable mirror. They reflect back an institution struggling with modernity, with race, with the press, and with the emotional well-being of its own members. The discomfort isn't from the mirror itself, but from what everyone sees in it. Harry and Meghan's story is a collision of modern values with monarchy traditions. They embody emotional vulnerability, personal truth, and compassion. Harry's openness about mental health models new strength, challenging royal reserve. Their biracial journey brings race and identity conversations to the forefront. Meghan's presence symbolised progress, highlighting remaining challenges. Their story invites the monarchy to reflect on its structures and diversity. Their public life approach reflects a generational shift towards authenticity. They model a public life prioritising family well-being and personal conviction. Tradition and modernity create friction, but their story illustrates evolving values. It's a case study in how ancient institutions must adapt to serve society. They're not the problem, but a manifestation of inevitable change. Viewing the monarchy through Harry and Meghan's actions is narrow. They're not architects of the monarchy's future, but reflections of its challenges. Their story shows where the institution must adapt to survive. The monarchy's future depends on introspection and evolution, not their silence. The questions they raise are institutional challenges, not personal issues. Their departure highlighted these issues, not created them. A wise institution uses reflection for improvement, not blame. The monarchy has a chance for meaningful reform, not crisis management. It must engage with questions constructively for relevance. The narrative of destruction misdirects. The true story is potential renewal. The monarchy's endurance depends on embracing change, not resisting it. As headlines fade, fundamental human themes endure: family bonds, purpose and courage. Harry's dash to his father's side reminded us of familial love's power. Beyond drama, a positive global legacy takes shape. The Invictus Games inspire millions, showcasing resilience and commitment. Mental health conversations dismantle stigma, encouraging openness. This legacy is built on empathy and action, not ceremony. Harry and Meghan's story is one of hope, challenging the status quo. They show it's possible to live authentically under scrutiny. Their journey isn't perfect, but it starts needed conversations. We can focus on conflict or see the bigger picture of love and global good. Their legacy is connection, courage, and a compassionate future. The monarchy's future won't be decided in Montecito, it will be decided in London. It will be decided by the wisdom of King Charles and the future reign of Prince William. It will be decided by their ability to adapt, to modernize, to show compassion, and to connect with a Commonwealth that is increasingly asking, "What are you for?" Harry and Meghan didn't create that question. They just started answering it for themselves, loudly. And that's what the establishment and its media courtiers can't stand. So no, Kevin and Kinsey, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, are not the end of the royal family. That's a sensational, sarcastic soundbite designed for clicks, not for clarity. The real story isn't an ending, it's a contrast. On one side, duty and tradition, on the other, freedom and family. And in the middle, a son who flew 5,000 miles for 45 minutes with his sick father, proving that even amidst the ruins of a fractured relationship, some bonds, however strained, are still worth trying to hold. And that's not a failure. That's a headline worth writing.